What if I told you that your $10,000 heated ice shanty is the very reason you're not catching fish? It sounds crazy, right? All that gear, all that technology should be giving you an edge. But today, we're putting the fully loaded ice castle against the humble $5 bucket. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll understand the single biggest mistake that shanty owners make, and why that guy freezing on a bucket is heading home with a full stringer. There's a hidden truth about fish behavior under the ice that most comfortable anglers completely ignore. So, before we get into it, let me know in the comments right now. Are you Team Shanty or Team Bucket? Let the debate begin. Let's be honest, the dream of every ice angler is comfort. We've all been there, freezing our fingers off, wind whipping across the lake. So we save up, we invest in a shelter, a heater, comfortable chairs, and top-of-the-line electronics. The common belief is that more gear equals more fish. We see it as an arms race. The guy with the best sonar and the warmest house must be the best fisherman. This leads to a dangerous habit. We get comfortable. We find a spot that looks good on the map, spend a half hour setting up our fortress of solitude, and then we commit to it for the entire day. We become convinced that our fancy gear will do the work and bring the fish to us. It's a comfortable, warm, and often fishless trap that almost all of us have fallen into at some point. Let's start with the #1 killer advantage of the bucket brigade: mobility. An ice angler on a bucket is a hunter. He travels light with an auger, a flasher, and a handful of rods. If a spot isn't producing within 10 or 15 minutes, he's up and gone. He can drill 50 holes in the time it takes a shanty owner to set up their heater and get the chairs unfolded. Think about what that means in terms of covering water. The bucket angler is actively searching for fish, moving from structure to structure, exploring different depths, and eliminating dead water. He's not waiting for the fish to come to him. He is taking the fight to them. This aggressive, mobile approach is fundamentally different from the passive waiting game that a heavy, cumbersome shanty encourages. It's the difference between being a predator and simply being bait. Now, let's talk about the mindset this creates. When you're sitting on a bucket, you are 100% engaged with the act of fishing. You have to be. Your mind isn't wandering to the football game on the radio or how comfortable your heated seat is. Your entire focus is on that tiny hole in the ice, your rod tip, and the signal on your flasher. This heightened state of awareness means you detect subtle bites more easily and react faster. The bucket angler is in tune with the environment because the environment is all they have. Conversely, the shanty can become a den of distraction. It's easy to get lazy, to stop jigging with intensity, or to miss that faint tick of a bite because you're more focused on staying comfortable than on actually catching fish. The bucket forces a discipline that the shanty allows you to forget. Consider the element of stealth. An ice shanty is a giant sound amplifier pointed directly at the fish. Every time you shift your feet on the plastic floor, drop a pair of pliers, or fire up the propane heater with that loud whoosh, you're sending vibrations straight through the ice and into the water column. To a wary perch or a skittish walleye in just 10 feet of water, this sounds like a construction site overhead. The guy on the bucket, on the other hand, is a ghost. His only significant noise is drilling the hole. After that, he is silent. He sits still, his movements are minimal, and he presents a much less threatening presence to the fish below. In clear or shallow water, this noise difference isn't just a small factor. It can be the single reason why one angler gets bites and the other doesn't. Another overlooked factor is light. A blacked-out ice shanty is great for sight fishing, but it also creates a massive dark shadow under the ice. On a bright sunny day, this abrupt change from light to dark can be extremely unnatural and can spook fish, especially cruising predators like pike or walleye. They see this giant dark anomaly on the surface and avoid it. The single hole drilled by a bucket fisherman, however, lets in a natural column of light. it doesn't drastically alter the underwater environment. He is, in essence, blending in with the natural state of the lake, while the shanty owner has parked a giant dark spaceship right on top of the fish's living room. It's a subtle point, but fish are creatures of instinct, and anything that seems out of place can put them on high alert. Let's break down the efficiency of a typical day. The shanty angler arrives, finds his spot, and begins the 30 to 45-minute process of unloading, setting up the shelter, drilling holes inside, starting the heater, and arranging gear. By the time he's ready to fish, the bucket angler has already fished 3 or 4 different spots. He's already gathered crucial information about where the fish are and, more importantly, where they are not. At the end of the day, the roles are reversed. The shanty guy has another long packing up process, while the bucket guy just picks up his gear and walks away. All that setup and teardown time is time not spent with a line in the water, actively hunting for a bite. It's a hidden time tax that comfort charges you every single trip. This leads us to what I call the commitment bias. Once you've invested all that time and effort into setting up your shanty, you feel psychologically committed to that spot. Even if you're not getting bites for an hour or 2 hours, you'll find yourself making excuses. You'll say, "The bite will turn on soon," or "I'll just wait for the evening rush." You're anchored by your own effort. The bucket fisherman has no such bias. He has almost zero investment in any single hole. If it's not working, he feels no guilt or hesitation in moving on. This freedom from commitment allows him to be a ruthless, efficient fishing machine, constantly adapting his strategy based on real-time feedback from the fish, not on a decision he made an hour ago back at the truck. Think about how you learn a new body of water. The best way is to hole hop aggressively. You drill a line of holes from shallow to deep, across a point, or along a weed edge. You spend 5 minutes at each hole, dropping your flasher and lure to see what's there. This is how you find those small, isolated pockets of active fish. This entire strategy is built for the bucket angler. Trying to do this with a portable shanty is incredibly inefficient. You'd spend all day moving your house every 50 feet. The bucket fisherman can map out an entire piece of structure and locate the spot on the spot before the shanty angler has even had his first cup of coffee. He's playing chess, while the shanty angler is stuck playing checkers on a single square. Now let's address the electronics argument. Many believe a shanty allows for a more complex and effective electronic setup, but often the opposite is true. An angler in a shanty is staring down at 1 or 2 holes. His high-end sonar is only telling him what's directly beneath him. The bucket angler, however, uses his flasher as a reconnaissance tool. He walks up to a new hole, drops the transducer in, and gets an instant reading of depth, bottom content, and the presence of fish or bait, all without even taking off his gloves. He can check 20 holes in 10 minutes. He's using his electronics to scan the lake, while the shanty angler is using his to stare at an empty patch of water, hoping something eventually swims by. The bucket guy is proactive. The shanty guy is reactive. There's a survival instinct at play for the bucket fisherman. He literally has to move to stay warm. On a cold day, sitting still is not an option. This forces him to be active. He's constantly drilling new holes, checking spots, and walking around. This physical activity not only keeps him warm, but it keeps him fishing effectively. The shanty angler, cocooned in 65-degree comfort, can easily slip into a state of lethargy. The warmth makes you drowsy. The motivation to leave that comfortable chair and go drill more holes in the biting wind disappears. In a strange way, the bucket angler's discomfort is his greatest asset, as it mandates the very strategy that is most likely to produce fish: constant movement and activity. Let's also consider the community effect. When you set up a big shanty, you've essentially planted a flag. You've created a destination. Other anglers see you, and they assume you're on fish, so they set up nearby. Soon, you have a small village of shanties, all creating noise, all creating pressure on the fish in that one area. The solitary bucket fisherman, however, can slip in and out of areas unnoticed. He can find a small group of fish, catch a few, and be gone before anyone even knows he was there. He operates with a level of stealth and low impact that is impossible to achieve when you're setting up a semi-permanent camp on the ice. He's a lone wolf, not part of the herd. What about when conditions change? Imagine a subtle wind shift that starts pushing the current, and therefore the bait fish, to the other side of a sunken island. The bucket angler, being mobile and observant, will notice this. He'll see the snow starting to drift differently, feel the wind on his face, and he can quickly relocate to the new active side of the structure. The shanty angler, sealed off from the elements, is oblivious. He's in his own little world, unaware that the dinner bell is now ringing 100 yards away. The ability to adapt quickly to changing environmental cues is a massive advantage that the bucket angler holds over his comfortable counterpart. The argument isn't that shanties are useless. They absolutely have their place. In brutal sub-zero conditions with dangerously high winds, a shanty is a safety tool that allows you to fish when you otherwise couldn't. They are also fantastic for fishing with kids or elderly family members who can't handle the exposure. But we're not talking about survival or family outings. We're talking about pure fishing effectiveness. The key is to understand that the shanty is a tool, but it's a tool with significant strategic disadvantages. It's a defensive tool in a game that is often won by playing offense. The problem arises when anglers treat their shanty as their primary strategy, rather than just one piece of equipment in their arsenal. Let's re-examine the gear itself. The bucket angler is a minimalist. He has 1 or 2 rods rigged and ready. He knows exactly which lure is on each. The shanty angler often brings a dozen rods, multiple tackle boxes, and all sorts of gadgets. This can lead to paralysis by analysis. He spends time retying, changing lures, and messing with gear instead of actively fishing. The bucket angler's simplicity forces focus. He has his go-to jig, he knows it works, and he focuses on presenting it perfectly in as many high-probability spots as possible. It's a lesson in the 80-20 rule. 80% of your fish will come from 20% of your lures and techniques. The bucket guy lives by this rule out of necessity. Think about the sounds that travel through the ice. It's not just loud noises. It's the constant low-frequency hum of a heater fan. It's the scraping of a chair. It's the metallic clank of a propane tank. Fish, especially species like crappie and walleye, have a highly developed lateral line that picks up on these vibrations. They may not spook in a panic, but this constant unnatural hum can put them on edge and make them less likely to commit to a bite. The silence of the bucket angler's approach is a weapon. In the quiet world under the ice, the absence of sound can be the most effective camouflage of all. He is a part of the natural silence, not an intruder. There is also a huge difference in observational awareness. The angler sitting on a bucket has a 360-degree view of the lake. He can see where other fishermen are concentrating. He can watch for pressure ridges that might indicate structure. He can see flocks of birds, which might indicate baitfish activity. His head is up, and he's constantly scanning and processing information about the entire lake ecosystem. The shanty angler's world is reduced to the 6-by-6-foot interior of his shelter. His view is limited to his flasher screen and the water directly below him. He's missing the bigger picture, and in fishing, the bigger picture often holds the clues to success. Let's consider a real-world scenario: fishing for nomadic schools of basin crappies. These fish are constantly roaming, following microscopic zooplankton. They could be here 1 minute and 100 yards away the next. The winning strategy is to drill a massive grid of holes and then systematically patrol that grid, dropping a transducer in each hole until you mark fish. This is the textbook definition of bucket-style fishing. Trying to chase these fish with a shanty is a fool's errand. You'd be constantly 1 step behind them. The mobile angler is the only one equipped to effectively hunt and intercept these roaming schools. The shanty angler is just hoping they happen to swim under his house. The comfort trap extends beyond just physical comfort. It's a mental comfort too. Sitting in a warm shanty feels like you're doing everything right. You have the best gear, you're protected from the elements. It feels professional. This can create a false sense of security and make you less critical of your own strategy. You're not catching fish, but you blame the weather, the barometric pressure, or a tough bite. The bucket angler has no such illusions. If he's not catching fish, he knows it's because he is in the wrong spot. His discomfort forces a brutal honesty. He can't blame his gear because he barely has any. He can only blame his location, which forces him to correct the problem by moving. Now, how can a shanty angler adopt the bucket angler's mindset? It's simple. Use your shanty as a base camp, not a prison. Arrive at the lake and spend the first hour doing a mobile search. Drill 20 holes in your target area. Check them all with your flasher. Only after you have located a concentration of fish should you even consider setting up the shanty over them. And even then, be mentally prepared to abandon that comfortable spot and go searching again if the bite dies. The shanty should be a reward for finding the fish, not the starting point of your search. This hybrid approach gives you the best of both worlds, the hunting efficiency of the bucket and the comfort of the shanty. Another powerful tactic is to set your shanty up as a warming station, but do your active fishing outside of it. Place your shelter on a central part of the structure you want to fish. Then, drill a series of holes radiating out from it. Fish these satellite holes, moving from one to the next, and only return to the shanty to warm your hands or grab a bite to eat. This way, you're not concentrating all your noise and pressure in the same spot where you're trying to fish. You're spreading it out. You're staying mobile and active, but you have a haven to retreat to. It's a strategic compromise that acknowledges the shanty's weaknesses while still utilizing its primary strength, which is providing shelter. So, in the end, does the bucket outfish the shanty? The answer is no. A person outfishes another person. The bucket is not magic. However, the bucket forces a strategy of mobility, stealth, and relentless hunting that is proven to be more effective than the stationary, passive strategy that a shanty encourages. The gear doesn't catch the fish, the angler does. The most successful anglers are the ones who understand that their brain is their most important tool. They use mobility to find fish, and only then do they use comfort as a tool to stay on them. The guy on the bucket has simply stripped the process down to its most essential and effective elements, leaving everything else on the shore. So, what's the final verdict? It was never really about the shanty itself being bad. It's about the dangerous mindset it can create. The comfort trap, the noise pollution, the commitment bias, and the fatal lack of mobility. It all adds up to you waiting for the fish to find you. The most shocking takeaway here is that your greatest asset on the ice, your comfort, is often your biggest enemy. The angler on the bucket wins not because he has less gear, but because his very discomfort forces him to fish smarter. He is forced to hunt. This should change your entire approach. Next time you go out, don't just find a spot and plant a flag. Think like a hunter. Use your shanty as a base camp, not a fortress. Find the fish first, then get comfortable. Thank you so much for watching. If this video opened your eyes, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. We've got a lot more fishing myths to bust. Now, I have to ask the big question. After hearing all this, are you going to sell your shanty, or are you just going to completely change how you use it? Let me know your new game plan in the comments below.